For decades, a woman's right to choose has been present in American politics. Even when it was the right women held for decades, it was argued over time and again. In this new post-Roe America, it is now front and center in the debate for president. And in the vice presidential debate last night, the topic of Minnesota and our laws about abortion came up.
Trying to distort the way a law is written to try and make a point, that's not it at all.
What was I wrong about, Governor? Please tell me, what was I wrong about?
That is not the way the law is written. Look, I've given
But
this,
how?
I've given this advice on a lot of things, that getting involved, getting against, that's been misread, and it was fact-checked at the last debate. But the point on this is there's a continuation of these guys to try and tell women or to get involved.
The laws the two we're talking about are the PRO Act signed in 2023, which says a person has the right to an abortion in this state, and the Born Alive legislation that also came that year. In the clip you just watched, Senator Vance was trying to get Governor Walz to talk about the specifics of our state's abortion laws. And as Governor Walz, as you saw, didn't really get to it and moved on. But we can tell you what our law says and does not, with the journalist who has covered all of this from day one, John Croman.
Well, hey, Jana, there are two different elements to the fact check here. One is where Minnesota allows abortions, the fact that they can happen anytime during a pregnancy, which is true. The other is the statement that doctors here don't have to save a baby born alive during an abortion procedure, which has never been true.
It is law.
When Governor Walz signed the PRO Act in 2023, he put into state law what was already case law in Minnesota from a Supreme Court ruling. And it places no restriction on when during a pregnancy an abortion can happen, but that wasn't new.
Gestational age limits. Minnesota has not had gestational age limits since 1976, so for 10 years longer than I've been alive. This is not a new thing in the state of Minnesota, and what it does is it allows people to access care throughout their pregnancy when they need it.
The reality is that third-term abortions are extremely rare in Minnesota, according to the Department of Health, and are typically due to a medical complication threatening the mother's health. Ad campaigns by anti-abortion groups would have you believe otherwise.
It's right here. The legislature passed a law that allows an unborn baby to be aborted at any time up to birth, even healthy babies with healthy moms.
The Trump campaign has pushed this narrative, including Tuesday night.
But as I read the Minnesota law that you signed into law, the statute that you signed into law, it says that a doctor who presides over an abortion where the baby survives, the doctor is under no obligation to provide life-saving care to a baby who survives a botched late-term abortion.
What J.D. Vance is talking about is a different law, the Born Alive law, which lawmakers changed in 2023 after fierce debate.
It's not okay when you have a viable baby to just snuff its life out.
You don't need that Born Alive law to protect infants against infanticide. Infanticide is, in fact, illegal.
Democrats asserted it's already illegal for a doctor to let a baby die without care.
Now we are saying that even if a baby is born alive, that child also should not live.
It is demonizing doctors who perform abortions. And to say that there are no protections in Minnesota law for infants who are alive is absolutely untrue.
The old law read, a born alive infant as a result of an abortion shall be fully recognized as a human person and be accorded immediate protection under the law. All reasonable measures consistent with good medical practice shall be taken by responsible medical personnel to preserve the life and health of the born alive infant. The new law removes any reference to abortion and just refers to an infant born alive. It removes the word preserve the life and health of the born alive infant and adds the words care for the infant who is born alive.
We changed the law to be appropriate so that all children who are born access medical care that's appropriate for them. And for some of these families, the appropriate medical care is palliative care for their dying baby.
The old law required the health department to issue a born alive report, like this one in 2021, showing 5 infants born alive in abortions that didn't survive. But the Medical Association tells us it's highly unlikely they could have been saved.
In that case, the induction of childbirth is the method of abortion. It is the method of terminating a pregnancy. And so in those cases, an infant being born alive is the goal. That's the point. And they hold and spend time with that child before it passes away.
Now, the changes to the Born Alive law were made as part of the health bill in 2023. And again, the reason Democrats thought the old language was unnecessary was because doctors are already obligated to save lives. They thought the language in that law created a false impression that these are elective abortions of otherwise healthy babies that are not being cared for.
All right, John, thank you so much. We appreciate it.